Hello, hi everyone, good evening. So, welcome to the Rapid Revision Program NEET 2025, right? So, in the previous class, we had discussed about some human physiology topics and human reproductive system and human reproductive health chapter we completed. And this is the most important chapter and most weighted chapter in NEET exam is evolution chapter. And most of the questions they will give you from this chapter. So minimum 3 question, maximum 4 question or 5 question sometimes we expected from this chapter. So today we will be discussing NCERT of evolution chapter line to line with some questions. So NCERT line, so what type of questions they will ask you from that line of NCERT from evolution chapter, so that we will be discussing in this today's class. Okay, right. So let us start. Right, you can see. So new according to new NCERT book. These are all according to new NCERT book line to line. The sentence and the question that is they may ask from this sentence of NCERT line. Now you can see what is exactly evolution. So according you can see exactly what is evolution. To understand the changes in flora and fauna so that have occurred over millions of years on earth. So in this sentence, over millions of years is important, and the changes which taking place in plant and animals important. Okay, so from these sentences of NCERT they will ask you question, right? You can see here, to understand the changes in flora and fauna that have occurred over dash of years on earth. For example, that is millions of years, not billions, not thousands. So millions of years. The changes in animal, the changes in the plant which taking since millions of years, that changes we will be learning in evolution. How the animals are evolved. What are the changes that occurred in the course of evolution through the millions of years? Millions of years. So that we will be learning in evolution chapter. So these kind of question they will ask you from this sentence. Now you can see this NCERT sentence. You will be knowing that. Here you can see the first. You can see the question, the statement based question. When we look at the stars on a clear night sky, we are in a way looking back in time. Looking back in time. Statement 2. The stellar distance measured in light years. The stellar distance measured in light year. So right. So now both the statement 1 and 2 are correct. Both the statement 1 and 2 are incorrect. 1 is correct and 2 is incorrect. Both 1 is incorrect and 2 is correct. These kind of question they will ask you. So now you can see when we look at the stars, which these kind of question they will ask you from this. You can see NCERT line. When we look at the stars on a clear night sky, we are in a way looking back in time. Looking back in time. This is the NCERT line purely. So the stellar distance measured in light years. That is also right. So both the statement 1, statement 2 are right. Now, what we see today is an object whose emitted light started its journey millions of years back and from trillion kilometers away and reaching the eye now. So from this sentence of NCERT, they will also ask you one more question. You can see when we see objects in our surroundings or immediate surroundings, we see them instantly ends in the present time, and therefore we see the stars where apparently are peeping into the past. Okay, you can see the sentence. when we see the object in our immediate surroundings, we see them instantly and in the present time. Therefore, when we see the stars apparently are peeping into the past. So these question or these type of question they will ask you from these lines of the NCERT book. So that's why you read NCERT line to line thoroughly. Here both the statement 1, statement 2 both are correct. Right. Origin of life is considered as an ordinary event in history of universe. The universe is the vast. Yes, the universe is the vast, important. So, but the statement 1 you can see, the origin of life is considered an ordinary event in the history of universe. But you can see here, the origin of life is considered unique event in the history of universe, and universe is vast. So when relatively speaking, the earth itself is almost a speck when you compare the universe. When you compare the universe, the earth is looks like a speck. Okay, so universe is very old, 20 billion years. The universe was originated about 20 billion years ago, right? So these type of question they will give you from these sentence of NCERT. Correct statement they may ask you, incorrect statement may ask you, statement type question they may ask you, assertion reason type question also they will ask you, right? So this is the question that is given from this sentence of NCERT book, right? So here both the statements are correct. Statement 1, statement 2 both are correct. Okay, next question. So the just I told you the universe is very vast, right? So the dash is very old, almost 20 billion years old. So here the universe is very old. The universe is very old, almost 20 billion years ago. Okay, so this is simple question. Now you can see small clusters of galaxies comprises the universe. The small clusters of galaxies comprise the universe. Statement 1. Galaxies contain stars, clouds of gases and dust. Here statement 1 is wrong, statement 2 is right. Statement 1 is wrong, statement 2 is right. Why? You can see. The huge clusters of galaxies are comprise the universe. But here they have given the small clusters of galaxies, not the small clusters of the galaxies, only the huge clusters of galaxies together forming universe. Our universe comprises huge clusters of galaxies. Now you can see by changing only one sentence, the opposite sentence, right? So they change only one sentence and they will ask you question like this. So then you are able to know the answer, right? So that is very, very important. Right, the Big Bang theory, the gases condensed under dash and form the galaxies of the present day universe. So now these you can see. The Big Bang theory attempt to explain the origin of universe. So based on this sentence, they may also ask you question that the origin of universe is explained by Big Bang theory. The Big Bang theory talks about single huge explosion, unimaginable manner in physical terms. So this physical term is important. Sometimes they'll ask you in chemical term or biological term. So then it would be wrong answer. So the universe is expanded and hence the temperature came down. Right? Hydrogen and helium are formed later. Now you can see the gases condensed under gravitational force. Condensed under gravitational. What is the force? Under the gravitational force, the gases like hydrogen What are the gases? Those are condensed in the gravitational forces. Hydrogen, right, and helium, right? These are the gases. So very, very important. Next, so the solar system of Milky Way galaxy, Earth was supposed to form 4 billion years ago. In Milky Way galaxy, the Earth was supposed to form 4.5 billion years ago. So based on that, you can say in solar system of Milky Way galaxy, dash was supposed to have been formed about 4.5 million years ago. That is, Earth was supposed to be formed 4.5 million years ago. So from this sentence, they may ask you this kind of question and other incorrect statement, correct statement also they will ask you. Okay. Now you can see there was atmosphere on early Earth. There was an atmosphere on early Earth. Statement 1 is incorrect. Water vapor and methane, carbon dioxide, ammonia released from the molten mass covered on surface. Statement 2 question. So these two statement questions, you can see they taken from these lines. There was no atmosphere on early Earth. On primitive, when the Earth was forming, during that time there was no atmosphere and there was only reducing atmosphere present because of most abundant of the hydrogen and absence of the oxygen. So we are calling reducing atmosphere. So here no atmosphere was there, but later only reducing atmosphere is there. But water vapor, methane, carbon dioxide, ammonia released from the molten mass. So molten mass means it is like a lava of an volcanic activities. Molten mass. So here statement 1 is wrong, statement 2 is right. Right? So now fill in the blanks. The UV rays from the sun broke water into dash and dash. So the UV rays, those are breaking during that time. Which components? Okay. Now that you can see this question. The UV rays from the sun broke up the water. So which component is broken? The water is the component that is broken into two components. What are those two components? Hydrogen and oxygen. So hydrogen is broken into, water is broken into hydrogen and oxygen. Right? And okay. So into hydrogen, oxygen and light elements. The hydrogen is escape, helium, oxygen combined with ammonia and methane, and they form water and carbon dioxide, and other component also important. Here in this question, water, the UV rays broke up water into hydrogen, oxygen. So here you can see hydrogen, oxygen, not the sulfur, not nitrogen, not methane. Okay, next one. So already we had discussed this question. So ozone layer is formed later and the temperature of the earth was slowly cooled down and water vapor fell as rain and filled the depression of the earth and the formed ocean. Life appeared 500 millions after formation of earth. That means almost 4 million years back the life was appeared or formed on earth. Question you can see. Right, statement 1. As it cooled, the water vapor fell as run. Yes. All the depression and form ocean, okay, that fill the depression of surface of earth and they form ocean. Statement 2. Life appeared 50 million years after the formation of earth. Not 50 million, that is 500 million after or 4 million years back. Right? So now statement 1 right, statement 2 incorrect. This is correct, this is incorrect. One more question. after about how many years of formation of Earth, life appeared on this planet, right? So after 500 millions, 500 millions, not billions, remember 500 millions. Next one. So early Greek thinker thought the unit of life called spores were transferred to different planets including Earth. Yes, this is right. According to panspermia theory, according to panspermia theory, the life might be existed in the form of resistant spores. You can see the life might be existed in the form of resistant spore. They might be reached on the surface of Earth, right? So they might have reached the surface of Earth and develop into living organism. Develop into living organism. So now you can see the sentence, right? So some scientists believe that life came from outside. Early Greek thinkers, the unit of life called spores were transferred to the different planets, including Earth. Important. Here you can see. Early Greek thinkers thought unit of life called spores were transferred to the different planets, including Earth. So this is the right sentence. Sometimes they will ask you excluding Earth or only on Earth or the resistant spores. The life those are existing in the form of resistant spore, they reach only on the surface of Earth, they will ask you. No. They reach different planets, including Earth. Important. Not excluding Earth also. Including Earth is important. Right? So they will ask you question based on this. Panspermia theory. This panspermia theory, it is a favorite idea for astronauts. Astronomer. Very, very important. Which of the following theory is still a favorite idea? Or according to which of the following theory the light might have come from resistant spore? This also could be believed by the astronauts. Still. Okay. So now this I told you, still it is a favorite idea for astronauts. Okay. For a long time it was believed that life came from decaying rotting matter like straw and mud. This was theory, that is spontaneous generation. According to the spontaneous generation theory, abiogenesis theory, right? So life might have evolved from the mud, non-living things like mud, straw, etc. But this theory was disproved by the Louis Pasteur. He conducted swan neck flask experiment. You know that, right? So life came out decaying and rotting matter like straw and mud. This was the theory, right? So the theory of spontaneous generation. Origin of life, origin of universe by Big Bang theory. Big Bang theory. Panspermia, right? So life might be existing in the resistant spore. They might have reached on the surface of Earth and they developed into living organism. That is panspermia. So here spontaneous generation theory, right? So this careful experimentation demonstrated that life only from pre-existing life. So according to the Louis Pasteur, he disproved abiogenesis theory. He disproved abiogenesis theory by conducting swan neck flask experiment. Swan neck flask experiment. So and he said that life might be coming from the pre-existing life, not non-living things. So life might be originated from the pre-existing living organism according to the Louis Pasteur's biogenesis theory, right? So spontaneous generation theory was dismissed and once for all. Yes, Louis Pasteur dismissed the spontaneous generation theory. The spontaneous generation theory could not explain how, right, the first living organisms are evolved on the surface of Earth. It could not explain. Okay. Next one. So Oparina Prussia, scientist name, and Alden of England. This you remember. They proposed life could have come from pre-existing non-living organic molecules. Okay. So according to Louis Pasteur, these are the living organism. So they're developing into living organism, pre-existing. So now these again it will develop into living organism. How could this first organism evolve? How could this first organism came onto the earth? Right? So according to this theory, Oparinine Alden theory, the first life might have originated from non-living inorganic molecules. So non-living inorganic molecules like RNA, protein, right? So these RNA protein, okay? So that's why the origin of life is the first chemical evolution, later it led to biological evolution. First of all, the origin of life is a chemical evolution, it led to the biological evolution, right? So that is very, very important. Right, chemical evolution, already explained this. Example you can see here. The condition on earth, primitive earth, high temperature, volcanic storms, reducing atmosphere because of concentration of more hydrogen, lack of oxygen. So it was called the primitive condition of the earth, the condition of the primitive earth. There was more temperature, volcanic storms, reducing atmosphere because of no oxygen, high concentration of hydrogen, right? And also contain ammonia, methane, right? So in 1953, S.L. Miller and American scientists created similar conditions in laboratory, that is called simulation experiment, repeated. Similar kind of condition. What are the conditions? Those were present during the primitive, on the surface of primitive earth. Same condition they created in laboratory. So that is called simulation experiment, S.L. Miller experiments. You can see here statement 1 question. The condition on earth were low temperature, volcanic storms, reducing atmosphere containing ammonia, methane. Statement 2. In 1953, S.L. Miller, an American scientist, created similar condition in the laboratory scale. Statement 2 is right, but statement 1 is wrong. Here you can see they mentioned low temperature. Not the low temperature. The temperature was very high, almost 5000 degrees centigrade during the early atmosphere on Earth. 5000. So by changing only one word, they may ask you question, but you will read this sentence. The condition on Earth were high. But you complete, I think you might have studied the NCERT book 3 times and 4 times. You always, whenever you are reading, you will keep these words in your mind, and you will also read same sentence. So, but be careful. So while reading the questions, be careful. You can read properly and you can select the option. Okay. Next one. So for his experiment, S.L. Miller produced amino acid by mixing of the following. When this S.L. Miller conducted experiment, he got all the amino acids that were synthesized during the early atmosphere on Earth. Same kind of amino acids also is synthesized in his laboratory in the presence of these. Now you can see. He used methane, ammonia, right? Right? Methane, ammonia, you can see the temperature was 800 degrees centigrade, water vapor, ammonia, hydrogen, methane, right? So here not this one, CH4, right? Methane and ethane. You can see, you can identify the difference between these two. So this is the appropriately right answer. This is the wrong answer. So this is the answer. This is given in 2020. Okay. So minor differences are very important. NEET exam is with only 7 days is there. So this kind of minor mistake, if you are not doing, definitely you will score good score in zoology or biology. Okay, next one. So now by using these experiment SL Miller, you can see these are the chemical compound, 800 degrees centigrade. So what are that? They identified amino acids. So NCERT not mentioned simple amino acid like glycine and alanine, right? And some aspartic acid also they observed in the experiment finally. But some other group of scientists are also conducted some experiment and they observed sugars, nitrogen bases and pigment and fats. Similar kind of experiment. What kind of experiment? Similar kind of means the Miller conducted an experiment. So those type of experiment are also conducted by other group of scientists. In their experiment, they could find or they identified sugars, nitrogen bases, pigment and fats. This is very important. What are the components that were identified by other group of scientists in experiment like Miller and Urey? You remember this one. Okay, SL Miller observed formation of dash in his experiment. Simple question, amino acid. Okay, now you can see analysis of meteorites. So analysis of meteorite contents also revealed, right, similar compounds, right? So that indicate that same kind of processes are occurring somewhere else, are taking place in somewhere else of universe or space. Okay, so now this is the sentence. From this sentence they have given this question. Analysis of meteorites content also revealed similar compounds, indicating that similar processes are occurring elsewhere in the space. This is right. With this limited evidence, that first part of the conjecture story, that is chemical evolution, was more or less accepted. Right? More or less accepted, also right. Okay, so analysis of meteorites. So both are right and correct explanation of this. Now you can see the first non-cellular form of life could have originated 4 million years ago. Is it right? Or second statement, they would have been giant molecules like RNA and protein polysaccharide. Right? From where? From which sentences of NCERT this question is given here? You can see here. We have no idea about how first self-replicating metabolic capsule of life arose. That means we no idea about how the self-replicating metabolic capsule of the cell was originated. We don't have any idea. No idea important. Sometimes they will give you identify the correct statement. We have an idea about how the first self-replicating metabolic capsule of life arose? No, we don't have any idea. That you remember. The first non-cellular form of life could have originated 3 million years ago. Sorry, 3 billion years ago or 3000 million years ago. 3 billion years ago or 3000 million years ago. Right? First non-cellular form. How were they? The first non-cellular form, they are giant molecules, larger molecules. They are like RNA, protein, polysaccharide. So here, the first non-cellular form of life could have originated 4 billion years ago is wrong statement. That is 3 billion years ago. If they could have given here 300 million years ago, that would also right answer. But here They would have been giant molecules like RNA, protein, polysaccharide. This is the right one, but this is the wrong one. Okay. Next one. So what is biogenesis? Now you can see first cellular form of life. Non-cellular form of life originated 3000 million years ago or 3 billion years ago. But here the first non-cellular form did not possible until 2000 million years ago. Or simple, first cellular form originated 2000 million years ago. These were probably single cells. Okay, the first cellular form of life originated 2000 million years ago. Probably they are single cell, right? All the life forms were originated only in water environment only. So this version of biogenesis, that is the first form of life, arose slowly through the evolutionary process from non-living molecule is more accepted, or majority is accepted. How the life evolved? The life might be evolved from the non-living molecules. Non-living molecules like hydrogen, methane, ethane, right? Evolved into first life. Important. Now, so special creation theory. So special creation theory was proposed by Father Sarage. Conventional religious literature, according to the conventional religious literature, right? So that means according to the religious books, according to the religious book, right? So according to the special creation theory, this theory has three connotations, three ideas. Three connotation or three ideas are related to this special creation theory. One, right? All the living organism, that is species or types that we see today, were created as such. That means whatever that living organism now we are seeing today, all were created as such, right? That is the first connotation. Second one, the diversity always same since their creation, and it will remain same in future also. Okay, so the diversity of living organisms since their origin, it is same, and it will remain in future also same. This is the second connotation. Third connotation is Earth is about 400 years old. The Earth was might be originated about 4000 years old. So these are the three connotations that related to the special creation theory. Remember, very very important. So the diversity always same since their origin, right? So based on observation made during a sea voyage in sail ship called dash. Sail ship, you know, HMS Beagle. HMS Beagle. HMS Beagle. Right? So all the ideas, the special creation theory and spontaneous generation theory, biogenesis theory, all those theories were challenged. Those ideas were strongly challenged during the 19th century, right? Challenged by the people or other group of scientists. But based on observation made during the sea voyage in a sail ship of HMS Beagle around the world by Charles Darwin, he concluded that existing living forms, the existing living form, the living organism, those are existing now, they share similarities in varying degree, not only among themselves but also with life forms those were existed million years ago. So from this sentence they will ask you question. Now you can see who concluded that existing living organism. Charles Darwin, right? Now you can see there had been extinction of different types of form gone by, just a new forms are arose different periods of history. right? So here both are right but not correct explanation. This is very, very important. This is the question that is given from this area. Okay, 1 minute. Right, next one. Alfred Wallace, naturalist who worked in Malaya archipelago, had also come to the similar conclusion around the same time of uh, Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin, also naturalist, he was working in Galapagos Island, and Alfred Wallace also, he was working in archipelago Malaya. Both were working on the same type of observation made, the same kind of observation made by both the scientists during the same period but in different islands, that you remember. Okay, so the geological history of earth is closely correlated with biological history, you remember. Here you can see the ancestor present at different periods in the history of our earth. Epoch, period, era. The geological history of earth closely related with biological history of earth. This sentence is very, very important. You might have read in NCERT, but just I am telling, remember, very, very important. So this is fossils. So the fossils are remnants of the hard part of the animal. This is very, very important. In different age rock sediment contain different fossils, not the same fossil. That is important. And life forms who probably died during that period of time. Important, right? So the present extinction organism. So NCERT, there is a diagram is there. Okay, Pelicosaurus, right? So Pelicosaurus, Tygocepa, three-horn structure, and the counterparts of the crocodile and Archaeopteryx, right? So flying reptile, Pteranodon, etc. That diagram also important. That is. So different age rock sediment contain fossils of different life form who probably died during the formation of that particular sediment is the right statement. You can see there. A study of fossil is different sedimentary layers indicate the geological period in which they existed. Yeah, yes. Okay, both are right. Next one. So homologous organ, analogous organ, this is very, very important area. The organs which are similar in structure, similar in function, sorry, the origin and arrangement of the bones. The structure which are similar in origin, similar in structure, but different function, we are calling homologous organ. The organs, those are different in structure but same function, different in origin, different in structure, but function is same. We are calling analogous organs. Okay, so that you know examples here very, very important. In mammals, arrangement of the bones, like you can see, humerus, radia, ulna, carpals, metacarpals, and phalanges. In forelimbs, the arrangement of these bones. Sometimes they'll ask you the arrangement of the which of the bones in the forelimbs of the mammals. Right? So these are the bones: humerus, radius, ulna, carpal, metacarpal, phalanges. So arrangement of these bones similar. The origin is similar and the structures are similar, but function is different. In one organism like cheetah, they are helping in running, and in bat they help in fly. In humans, that helps in running, swimming, walking, and other function. Okay, so that is very, very important. So one more, analogous organs, right? So now you can, this a similarity of the bone structure in the forelimb of many vertebrates is an example of homology. Homology, origin and structure both are same but function is different, that is homology. Analogy means Different structure, different origin, but same function. That is analogy. Convergent evolution, adaptive radiation. Okay. So give any two examples of analogous structure, homologous structure. You can see analogous structures, wing of butterfly, birds, and anatomical structure. Examples. So penguin, flippers, dolphin, and octopus eye and human eye, potato. This can see octopus eye, right? Wings of bird, wings of by bird and wings of an insect. Analogous structure represent convergent evolution. Okay, so right, analogous organ convergent evolution. Homologous organ divergent evolution. Same origin, same structure, different function. Adaptive radiation. Analogous organs, they shows convergent evolution. Different organ, different structure, but same function. So analogous organ shows convergent evolution. Homologous organ shows adaptive radiation. Okay. So you remember this is the area you can get question from this area. Examples of analogous organs: eye of octopus and mammals, flippers of penguin, dolphin. This is right. Analogous structures are result of divergent evolution. No. Analogous structures are result of convergent evolution, not the divergent evolution. Homologous organs are because of divergent evolution. Right? So this is the area very important. One more example. Which of the following are analogous structures? Flippers of dolphin, okay. Legs of horse is not. Right. Wings of bat is okay. Wings of penguin. Okay. So trachea of the prawn, lungs of the man, and thorns of bougainvillea, tendril of the cucurbita. Analogous structures. Same function but different origin, different structures. Okay, same function, different origin, different structures. Right? So this is the question you can see where most of you confuse here. Thorns of bougainvillea, tendril, these are homologous organs. Simply you can remove this one. Wings of the bat, wings of the penguin. Flippers of the dolphin and legs of the horn. These are homologous organ. Okay. So arrangement of the bones in these animals same. So now in these two you can select. Okay. Trachea, prawn, function is same. Here function is same. But here wing of the bat helps in fly. Right. But their bone, here wing of the pigeon, right, that will not help in fly. Okay. So here this is the right answer. This is right answer. Sweet potato root modification and potato is a stem modification, but both are growing in underground. So the morphology of these animal, external morphology is same, right? So when two different organisms, when they present in similar kind of environment, there shows some morphological characters are similar to the both the organism. Now you can see similarity in proteins and genes performing a given function among the diverse organism gives clue to the different ancestor, right? So clues to the not different ancestor, you can see common ancestor. When different organism, that cell present inside the cell, genes, DNA present, DNA contain purines and pyrimidines, that is same. So similarity in protein and similarity genes performing the same function among the diverse organism, they indicate common ancestry, but you can see they have given different ancestor. That is wrong statement. So these type of question I am giving basic concept how they will ask you question from these NCERT, right? You can see man has domesticated many wild animals and crops. This is right. These intensive breeding program has created breeds that differ from other breeds. Example dogs, but still are of the same group. right? You can see this is the same sentence that is taken from here. So man has bred selected plant and animal for agriculture, horticulture, sport and security. Purpose important. Okay. So man has domesticated many wild animals and crops. Man domesticated many wild animals and crops. So statement 1 right. So these intensive breeding program has created breeds. The intensive breeding program created breeds that differ from the other breeds. Yes, that differ from the other breed. Example dog, but still are of the same group. So this is also NCERT. Both are right statement. Both are not in the same group. Then this will be wrong statement. Okay. One more you can see. In a collection of moth made in 1850s, that is before industrialization, a set before industrialization set, it was observed that there were more white-winged moth on tree than dark-winged moth or melanized moth. Yes. After industrialization, 1920, there were more dark-winged moth in the same area, right? When there is no pollution, right? So white color moth, non-melanin moths were more. When there is a pollution, winged melanin moths were more. So this is, it is given in NCERT statement. Okay, before industrialization, after industrialization. Okay, next one. So this, okay. So evolution is a directed process in the sense of determinism, right? So it is a stochastic process based on chances event in nature, chance of mutation in the organism, right? Stochastic means random process. Random process, you can see here it is given, right? Chance of mutation, it is a stochastic process, chance of mutation. Why randomly they changing? Why suddenly there is a change? Because of the mutation or because of nature, natural selection. Okay, so that is, this is the area. Now you can see which of the following refer to the correct examples of organisms which have evolved due to the changes in the environment brought about by anthropogenic action. Darwin finches of Galapagos Island, herbicide resistant weeds, drug resistant eukaryotes, man created breeds of domesticated animal like dogs, right? So now you can see. So much less time, microscope, drug resistant eukaryotes, it is given, right? Less time, example by anthropogenic area. So except Darwin pinches natural selection, except that remaining all are because of anthropogenic or man-made, right? So resistant to the DDT, mosquitoes example, and drug resistant bacteria in our gut. Yeah? These are some examples of natural selection by anthropogenic action, right? This was island, so simple question, you can skip. This is also. Now, the phenomenon of evolution of different species in a given geographical area starting from one point and spreading to the other habitat is called. So this is the starting point, from here it is spreading to other area. That is called adaptive radiation. Okay. So evolution of living organism from starting one point radiating to the other area, that is called adaptive radiation. Right, 2020 question. You can see NCERT statement. The process of evolution of different species in a given geographical area starting from one point laterally radiating to other areas of geography, that means habitats, is called adaptive radiation. This was the earlier first habitat, but later they migrating to the different habitat. According to that surrounding environmental condition, they will adapt and evolve into new species. That is called adaptive radiation. Which food habit of Darwin's finch led to the development of many other varieties? Fruit eating, cactus is eating, insect eating, seed eaters. Seed eating birds. Originally, the Darwin finches were the small black color bird, right? They were originally seed eating bird, but because of adaptive radiation, they went to the different island. So in those islands, according to their surrounding habitat, they change their diet. They change their food habitat, evolved into varieties: cactus eating birds, insect eating birds, grain eating birds, fruit eating birds. Okay, originally they were seed eating birds and they were very small black birds. Okay, so they'll ask you question, what kind of birds were Darwin finches? Earlier they were seed eating birds originally, and they were small and black birds, but later we have given name Darwin finches. Okay, when more than one adaptive radiation have occurred in a isolated geographical area representing different habitat, one can it is called convergent evolution. So evolution of placental mammal, evolution of the marsupial mammal, both are taking in a small isolated geographical area, that is Australia. Now you can see here evolution of the marsupial mammals, here evolution of the placental mammals. There are two different adaptive radiations are taking place in small geographical area. Then the morphological features of these two different, they showing some morphological features are similar to both. So we are calling it convergent evolution. Convergent evolution. You can see when more than one adaptive radiation appear to have in a isolated geographical area, right? One we can call it convergent evolution. Here, so one adaptive radiation of marsupial mammal, another adaptive radiation of placental mammal. These two adaptive radiation both are taking place in small isolated geographical area, so we are calling it adaptive radiation. Right, placental mammals in also extinct adaptive radiation, right? So this area adaptive radiation convergent evolution very important. So how to identify, you know, the animals, right? If they are giving only animal that belongs to marsupial, what type of evolution present between marsupials is adaptive radiation. What type of evolution present among placental mammals? Again adaptive radiation. But when you are comparing adaptive marsupial mammals and placental mammal, these two showing convergent evolution, right? So only adaptive radiation, you can see here marsupial mammal showing divergent evolution. Divergent evolution or adaptive radiation. Here the placental mammal also showing adaptive radiation, right? Or divergent evolution. But when you compare these two, they showing convergent evolution. Morphological features of this placental mammal is similar to the marsupial mammal. Okay, so when they're asking question by comparing placental mammal with marsupial mammal, they show convergent evolution. Among only if they're asking either in placental mammal or in marsupial mammal, then they show adaptive radiation, divergent evolution. So this is very important area. Now you can select the correct group of setup, Australian marsupial exhibiting adaptive radiation. Okay, so this kind of question they'll ask you, you can see here. This diagram and one more diagram is also there in NCERT, box diagram. That box diagrams are very important. Which marsupial mammal is equal to which placental mammals? Similar. That is important. So evolution by natural selection in true sense would have started when cellular form of life with difference in metabolic capability originated. This is right statement, right? The rate of appearance of new forms linked to the life cycle of animal is also right. Okay, so the diversity of living organism might have started when cellular form of life with different metabolic capabilities. Okay, so that is important statement. Where both the statements are right. Now you can see the world we see is inanimate, animate is the only success story of evolution. Inanimate means non-living, living things. Animate means living, inanimate means non-living. So whatever that living things and non-living things presently that we are seeing, that are because of evolution. Other hand, when we describe the story of life on earth, we treat evolution as a consequences of process called natural selection. Yes, you can see. These are the sentence that taken from this sentence, you can see. When we treat evolution as a consequences of process called natural selection, we still not very clear whether to regard evolution is a natural selection as processes or end result of unknown processes. This is very important area. Okay, who worked on evening primrose plant? So Hugo de Vries, you know, he was the person. He kind worked on mutations, sudden, random, right? So mutations are very important. The factor term given by Mendel. In sexually reproducing organism, each and every character controlled by a pair of factors. So that control phenotypic character, external character, right? So Darwin ignored these observations and kept silence. That is important. Hugo de Vries, evening primrose, important. Mutations, according to him, mutations are sudden, right? Very important. And mutations are sudden, which causes evolution, minor variation. Darwin talked about mutation, random, directionless. While, okay, Darwinian variations are small, directional, but mutations are non-directional. That is important area. The variation caused by mutation, as proposed by Hugo de Vries, are right. So random, directionless. According to Hugo de Vries, the mechanism of evolution is phenotypic variation, multiple step mutation, saltation, single step, large mutation. Mutation cause single step, large mutations are responsible for species or variation. So Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium, this is very important area. Sum of total of all allelic frequency is equal to 1. In a given population, the allelic frequency of that gene remain constant from generation to generation under certain condition, right? So the population should be large, there should be no gene migration, there is no gene flow, there should be non-random mating, okay, no recombinations, right? So under these conditions, the gene frequency of that population will remain constant from generation to generation, right? So any of these factors that can change the frequency of the population and that lead to evolution and speciation, right? So you can see this formulas, you know, just I will tell you directly where now this question I will solve you. This is important. If these kind of question, if they would have given in a population, the 1000 individuals, 360 belongs to a genotype dominant allele and 480 heterozygous condition and 160 homozygous recessive condition. Based on this data, identify the allelic frequency A. Okay. Here just I will tell you this one. P square is equal to genotypic frequency. Genotypic frequency of dominant allele. Dominant alleles. So how to calculate genotypic frequency? P square is equal to number of dominant individual by total population. Total population. P square. If you wanted to calculate the P square genotypic frequency, you have to use this formula. P square genotypic frequency of dominant allele is equal to number of dominant individual by total population, or Q square is equal to genotypic frequency of recessive allele is equal same number of recessive individual by total population, right? But in this question they asked about only A, not A. They asked only allelic frequency. They asked only allelic frequency. Right? They ask only allelic frequency A. Allelic frequency P is equal, not P square, only P. Dominate, I am writing short form, dominate allelic frequency is equal 2 into number of dominate individual plus number of heterozygous individual by 2 into total population. This is the formula you have to use. For Q square is equal same 2 into number of recessive individual plus number of heterozygous individual by 2 into total population. Okay, so this is, suppose heterozygous 2PQ, if they are asking the total number of heterozygous individual by total population, you will get heterozygous individual frequency. In this problem you can see they are asking about A, right? A means dominant allelic frequency, that is P they are asking, right? So for that purpose, what is the formula? Number of dominant individual. What are the number of dominant individual? 360, right? And 2, first 2 is there. 360 plus 480 number of heterozygous individual by 2 into total population 1000. Okay, so if you do this 1200 by 2000, okay, so we will get answer this 0.6. So this formula you can use for calculation of the A, okay, if they have given the number of individuals. If they have given frequency, I will show you here one more. In this you can see a gene locus has two alleles A and A. 0.4 is the A frequency. What is the frequency of homozygous dominate? Homozygous dominate means capital A, capital A. Heterozygous dominate means capital A, small a, and recessive small a, small a. So you know that P plus Q whole square is equal to 1, equilibrium. They have given only P 0.4. Q is not given, only 1. So Q is equal to 1 minus 0.4, you will get 0.6 is equal to Q. Right? Now, what we have to do now? Frequency. Right? They are asking about heterozygous frequency, homozygous frequency. Right? So then, here, Q square they are asking. Q square they are asking and P square they are asking. So Q is given, so Q square is equal 0.6, whole square is equal 0.36, and P is equal to 0.4. What is P square is equal root 16, 0.16, and heterozygous means 2 into PQ. What is P? 2 into 0.4 into 0.6. Okay, so then it will get 0.48. So the answer is this one, 2. So this is the problem. Only if they give problems you have to calculate like this. Okay, so a population will not exist when Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium is. There is no migration, it will exist. The population is large, it will exist. There are no mutation, it will exist. But individual selective mating should be random. Selective mating means non-random mating. Non-random mating, selective mating. So that does not support Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. Random mating should be needed. This is the wrong answer. Okay, genetic drift operates in small population, isolated population. Uh, if the same changes occur by chance, it is called genetic drift. Chance. So microbial experiments show that pre-existing advantage mutation when selected it will result in observation of new phenotype, right? And observation of over few generation this would result in speciation. That is also right. Both the statements are right. Okay. So which is the most common mechanism of genetic variation in the population of sexually reproducing organism? Important. So NCRT you can say here. A critical analysis makes us believe that variations are due to mutation, variations are due to recombination during the gametogenesis, are due to genetic drift or gene flow, right? So that can result in change in allelic frequency. So these are responsible for variation, mutation responsible, recombination responsible, genetic drift responsible, gene flow is also responsible. But question is sexually reproducing organism. In sexually reproducing organism crossing over, during the crossing over time, exchange of the recombination will take place. So right answer here, recombination. Okay. So genetic drift occur only in isolated small geographical area. So probably this is the right answer. Right. So artificial selection to obtain cows yielding higher milk output. So that is directional selection. Mean values, I will explain this. Now you can say this is the peak shifting into. So average phenotypes are eliminated, extreme phenotypes are eliminated, average phenotypes are selected. Mean values are selected here. That is called stabilizing selection. Example, the weight of the baby in England 8 kgs, average 8 kgs will survive. Below this or above this they will die. It maintain stabilizing selection maintain only phenotypic stability in that population, but it will not help in uh, new speciation. Because of this new speciation will not occur. But here the peak is shifting only in one direction. The peak is shifting in one direction means other than mean values selected. Here the peak is shifting in only one direction. Example, industrial melanism, either melanized moth or non-melanized moth, because of when homogeneous conditions are changing into heterogeneous condition, either in this direction or in this direction. Okay. Disruptive selections, peripheral characters are selected, average values are eliminated, right? So only peripheral characters are selected, average means characters are not selected. That is called uh, disruptive selection. So based on that only they are asking this question. Okay. Photosynthesis. So 300 million years ago, seaweed plant. So this data is very important. Based on that they will ask the question. By the time of 500 million years ago, dash were formed and active. 500 million years ago, invertebrates were formed and they're active. Sometimes they will give you inactive. So in that case, that will be the wrong answer. Okay. So the coelacanth, very important. Low fins are evolved into the first amphibia that lived in both in water and land. That is right because it is given in NCRT. You can see coelacanth, right, which was thought to be extinct, but these animals called low fins evolved into first amphibia that lived on both water and land. So that's why I'm suggesting you to read NCRT line to line. Okay. So right. So this continental drift is important. Earlier when South America joined with North America, this is important. When there was animals that present in South America were resembling hippopotamus, horse, bear, rabbit. So these kind of animals were existing in South America before it joined to the North America. when it is joined to the North America, the fauna of North America are dominated over them, and these fauna in South America they extincted. Only the South America is also now dominating the fauna of North America. So this is they will ask you this kind of question also from this area. Okay, right? So right. So this human evolution is very important. Every time they're asking question, most of you know that, right? So briefly, I will explain that chronological order is important. So 1500 million years ago, Dryopithecus and Ramapithecus were existed. They were hairy and gorilla. They were walked like chimpanzee and gorilla, and they evolved into Australopithecus 2.2 million years ago, right? So they hunted with weapons, stone weapons, that you remember, and later, so Homo habilis, cranial capacity 650, 850, very important, did not eat meat, ate fruits only. Later Java man 1891, Homo erectus, right? Cranial capacity 900 cc, Neanderthal, right? So this order is very important. I told you, you can see question also. Fossils of Homo erectus discovered about 15 million years ago, wrong. Because, so the fossils of the Homo erectus was 1.5 million years ago discovered in Java. So that's why we're calling Java man, and 900 cc capacity. So these are the first homina, they ate meat. Probably they ate meat. That is important. Okay. Right. So Neanderthal man with largest brainial capacity and lived in East and Central Asia around 1,00,000 to 40,000 years back. They ate to protect their body and followed, buried their customs or their dead bodies. Okay. So very important. So Neanderthal man with brain size 600 cc, 1600 cc wrong. They use hide to protect their body, buried their dead bodies is right. So statement based question also they may ask you. During the Ice Age, Homo sapien is the modern man who was originated in Africa, and they moved to the different continents and developed into races. Very important. About during the Ice Age 75,000 to 10,000 years ago, modern Homo sapien arose. Modern Homo sapiens. Okay. So now prehistoric cave hut was developed about 18,000 years ago. Agriculture came about 10,000 years back. Human settlement started, right? So one Bimbetka rock shelter that you remember, very important, right? Agriculture came around 10,000 years back. Okay, Thomas Malthus, already we discussed this. So chronological order, 2024 also they asked for chronological order of arrangement of the evolution of man. Dryopithecus, Ramapithecus, Australopithecus, Homo habilis and Homo erectus, Neanderthal and Homo sapien, modern man. Okay, so this is the chronological order you should remember, and the evolution is very important chapter, right? So here the diagram that is given, the sketches, very important. Evolution of man, evolution of the plants, right? So that is also very important. You can also read that one. Don't miss that. So thank you very much, and read NCRT line to line NCRT evolution chapter. The most important area, adaptive radiation, human evolution, and don't give any chance. You can read all NCRT line to line, right? So thank you. Good night.